All right. Very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to this webinar on building a CMALT Australasia portfolio. This afternoon, we are very happy that Oriel Kelly from New Zealand Tertiary College to share with us to discuss the process of submitting the required portfolio from the respective perspective of the applicant and the assessor. So this will be a 1-hour session, but I believe that there will be time for every one of us to ask questions as well. So without further ado, I'll pass the time to Oriel.
Great, thanks, Alan. Yeah, I don't imagine I will be able to keep talking for an hour, so I'm hoping you'll have lots of questions. And I'm expecting maybe someone else who's also got a CMALT, I got mine in 2012, who can also chip in from this region if they come in as well. So, first of all, what is CMALT? Now, I'm getting all this material really from their handout, but the idea is that you put forward a portfolio of material that you want to be accredited. So it's a really good opportunity to have what you've done and what experience you've got and the capabilities that you've got ratified by other people involved in learning technology and supporting learning technologies. So that's part of the job, but the other part of it is to demonstrate that you're actually going to carry on with your professional development, because the last section asks you where to from here. So it's pretty much, okay, you've done all this, but it's not, it's looked at, it's not part of the marking, but it's a commitment from your part that you're not going to stop now, that you're going to keep attending conferences or keep working on some of those skills that you've built up over the time. And as you can probably tell from the material that you've got on the website, it's 4 core areas that they ask you to write about, and then 1 specialist option. So there's and then the specialist options are fairly wide-ranging. If you don't like any of the ones that are on the list, you can make up your own. So it's something that you've immersed yourself in for a time that you want to showcase, really. It says you can send in more than 1 specialist option, but really I would take their advice and put your effort into 1 and go deep rather than kind of spread it around a bit, because we like, as assessors, we like to see that you've really described what you're doing, but you've analysed it and you have reflected on it, and that's the key thing really. What would you have done differently if you'd done it another way? So that's the structure of the portfolio. I thought I'd put up here as well, though, the principles that inform the development of the scheme from the beginning, because it's been around for a while, and the idea was to recognise the skills and abilities of people that weren't going to get a formal qualification, but were doing valuable work exploring the interplay between technology and learning, maybe coming from a completely different angle. So part of it is to encourage people to show what they've done, how they've helped other people, how they've looked at the affordances of the technologies that they're working with every day, and they're bringing people along, because it's a really good one for staff developers or for the project teams that are involved in learning technologies from a slightly different angle, and encouraging a commitment to keeping up to date with the new technologies, but also there's this element too of willingness to learn from colleagues. I can remember when I was doing a few of the projects that I was working on at Manukau Institute of Technology, I learned an awful lot about a whole lot of stuff from the people that were putting things together. I learned more than I ever really needed to know about bandages or about how to build a roof, because we were working with them on putting the purlins and everything else in the right places. So it's being able to motivate the team that you're working with, but also wanting to learn from other people. And a lot of the people who go for CMALT are in that position where they are able to talk about effective practice, they know what they're talking about, and they're able to communicate it. Because even something like Blackboard Collaborate, for example, you can use this well, or you can use it badly. So effective use of a tool is part of what we want to do with the use of technologies. So that's the principles that are underpinning the kind of scheme this is, and they should be in the back of your mind too when you're putting your portfolio together. So the structure of it from the beginning, like some kind of contextual statement, just introduction, like you would do for a letter or applying for a job or something. And then you've got those 4 core areas. So it's operational stuff, learning and teaching, assessment, the wider context, and communication. And then you get to choose your specialist option and talk about where to from here. You'll see at the bottom there that you can also suggest an assessor. And we're beginning to build up a few that are in our part of the world. And might be a good idea to pick one from this part of the world, because we have slightly different challenges to, say, England in terms of our legislation or the way we go about things. I don't know about Australia, but particularly New Zealanders kind of have a roll your sleeves up and get started kind of attitude, and so we just get on and do it. Whereas possibly someone working in England might be relying on a set of specialists somewhere else, so they might not kind of get the understanding that we get in there and we are working alongside people and just giving it a go from our point of view. I do recall the list of assessors, it's on the CMALT website, and it tells you who are CMALT holders, and it tells you where they are. So, damn, that was one thing I was going to do. I was going to bring up the CMALT website. Perhaps, Ellen, you could go looking for it while I keep rabbiting on here, and we could put it in. But there is a list of assessors on there and where they're from. And there's a number of them now in this part of the world. The reason I say that is there was one portfolio that was going around, and the challenge for it was, why aren't you talking about some obscure English law about for something they'd brought in, and it had absolutely, the portfolio I was looking at was from Australia, I think. And the first marker said, well, why isn't this particular obscure thing about some English requirement wasn't it mentioned? Well, of course, it doesn't apply down here. So, yeah, it's quite a good idea to kind of pick someone who's in the area that you're in, because they've got a slightly better chance of understanding what it is you're on about. What to write and how to provide evidence. The key thing is, yes, describe what you've done. So you can look back at all the things that you've put into your appraisals over the years, all the things that you've put in when you've gone for a job interview, or you've wanted a pay rise or something. All those sorts of things, all the things that you've done are going to be applicable if they had anything to do with technology. So dig them out, just think about them, and start making a spreadsheet of what you've done. Then see what evidence you've got to support this. Now, preferably recent, so I wouldn't go back more than about 3 or 4 years, because technology changes so quickly. But something tangible, a certificate for something, or an attendance certificate, or an attestation from someone you've worked with. Keep it brief. Usual advice, keep the marker in mind. We don't want to be thanks Ellen, the link's there now. We don't want to be wading through pages and pages and pages. It's better if it's a photograph, or it's a quick link to something that you've done, or if you can let us have a look, a couple of screenshots, something like that, that we can see at a glance that, okay, you've done that, and this is your quick description of it and where it fits. But more importantly, really, is that reflection element. What did you learn as a result of doing that? And there's some nice prompt questions in there, like, what have I learned from doing what I described, or what went well, or, by golly, I wish I'd had a chance to do it again because I would have done it differently, or what was the impact on the people that you were doing it for or with, so your users. How did they feel about what you'd done? Have you got anything maybe that taught you something that you wanted to do differently? What difference did it make to their learning? And now that you've had a look at that, could you have done it differently to even improve on that? Or maybe you do want to go back and build on that. So those prompts will get you thinking and reflecting and analysing on what you are going to put in the portfolio. So hopefully you'll end up with more evidence than you need, and then you can wean it down a little bit. So the 4 core areas are the operational issues is the first one. So it's the understanding and the use of learning technologies. And use is pretty broad. It's your use, or your use with somebody else, or your use for somebody else. And the key thing there is the understanding of the constraints and the benefits. And that's not, that's not a, that's almost a no-brainer. I'm sure you can work out what is really great about it, and all the pitfalls and the things we bang our heads on the wall about every now and again. Every time we try to use a new piece of technology, something falls over somewhere else. So yeah, I'm sure you can. I found this one really quite easy to do when I put mine together, because I spent my life dealing with citing files and dealing with other people's issues, and also the technical knowledge and the ability to use those learning technologies is the kinds of thing you should be talking about in that. The supporting the deployment of learning technologies is good for someone in a staff development area or at a support area where you're helping somebody else use a new piece of technology, like you're rolling out Blackboard Collaborate, or you're rolling out wiki documents or Google Docs or something. So what did you do, how did you do it, and then what did you learn from the process is one of the key things there. Think about what were you trying to do, did it work, or would we have done something differently? So that one's quite easy, I found, to put something together, because that was a lot of what I did, and we're doing that kind of stuff all the time. The next one is teaching and learning and or assessment. Now, if you're in a support role, then you'll be designing things for teaching. You'll probably be designing things for learning. You might not necessarily be involved in the assessment process, but you have to be able to show, if it wasn't students you were working with there, then you're working with staff and helping them to understand that as well. So who are your target learners? For people in a support role, your target learners may well be staff. They might not be the students enrolled at the institute. So again, depends what you've done or who you've helped or what projects you've been involved in as to the changes that you have been able to make, or the bearing in mind again the constraints that we're all working under as well. But that's an area where we've all taught somebody something, so you should be able to put something together in that area as well. I hope this is all making sense. I'm not seeing a lot of questions in there. I guess you've all gone off to have a look at the CMALT website, and this is where you'll find this particular document anyway. So again, reflect on it. So what went well, what could have gone better, what would I do differently if I did this again? Maybe some evidence from what changed, like if you decided to use technology for assessment, what were the scores like before, what were the scores like after, something like that. Yeah, Colin, find a story to illustrate what you've got for each of those would be good. And then some easily accessible evidence, screenshots, photographs, that sort of stuff. They're all much the same in this area. Where it gets really fun is when you pick one that you want to look at yourself. The third one, now this is the wider context. Now you've got some choice here. You can do one legislative and one policy, or you can do two legislative ones. The kinds of, I was trying to put down some sort of relevant legislation. The list they give you is very sort of Northern Hemisphere, but I think we're all getting now into copyright, we're all getting into IP, data protection. Yeah, Stephen, this is the one that is the most difficult. There's not a lot you can write about copyright or what you're doing, although here where I am at the moment, we've just introduced an academic honesty course for the students, rather like our friends down the road at Auckland University. And we discovered that we didn't really know how to cite an internet image that we found, and that most of our staff were not either. They were just Googling images and dropping them in here, there and everywhere. So we're going to have to do some work with the staff development around here about, okay, that's fine, but you have to acknowledge where you got it from. So I think the internet, the IP and data protection and all that sort of thing is probably the one that it's a little bit difficult, but if you stick to ones that make sense in our hemisphere, it might be easier. The other one that occurred to me was policy. You don't have to do it, but you might want to look at, I know in New Zealand we have these ministry policies about how we're going to improve digital literacy or whatever across the board. Hi Mark, but I don't know what's happening in Australia, but if you that kind of policy would possibly work if it was something that you'd been involved in. A couple of years ago we had the privacy and keeping all records management. So if you were on the fringes of records management and how that was going to happen, you could possibly use that as your policy. But maybe pick the legislative area might be a bit easier than policy. Stephen, what I see you said you were finding the hardest one. Can you just chip in there? We can take over the mic. Just click on the button.
Yep.
What did you decide to go with in the end?
In the end, Oriel, I decided to do something on copyright because I had direct involvement with that. I mean, there's lots of legislation around, but it's a question of what you can show, I guess. Like, here's evidence that I've engaged with this and I've had something to do with it. You know, we've got lots of, say, university policies on things like intellectual property, but it's not actually something I have anything to do with at all. And so I think the difficulty for me has been finding something that I can actually relate to and produce evidence for that says, hey, I've been involved with this and this is how. I also the second thing I chose was an institutional policy because I kind of had more to do with that in terms of the things that we've been developing at University of Waikato. So I've got this kind of page that I'd like somebody to have a look at some stage, just as a sort of a once over that is about this wider context area.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Yeah, I suspected copyright would probably be something that most of us would be hands-on with. The kinds of things that are in the guide are accessibility, including special education needs, freedom of information, child protection, anti-discrimination. Those kind of don't really impact on the day-to-day life of a lecturer or a technology specialist. Maybe digital informational literacy and access and you know, the digital divide would come under that kind of umbrella if you had something to do with that about particularly accessibility, like if you'd been involved in making sure the screens could be read by a screen reader or you know, checking the ability for the material that's being produced to be accessible, because that's what the law says you have to do. That one might work as well. But it is kind of tricky. I remember tripping over this one myself. I got a really good, I got sort of, what's the marking schedule? Can't remember now. I got achieved and then satisfactory. So I got a really good achievement in all of them except this one, where I only got a kind of a satisfactory because I was a bit dull on the ground there myself. Yeah, it is a bit tricky. So communication, I think, is one that we're on a bit more solid ground. Alan wanted to know if there was a rubric for each core area. In the guide, there's a bit of a Just turn it over to near the end of the page there, somewhere near the back. It's not really a rubric, it's just kind of headings of what we fill in as assessors on the assessment form. So no, there's no real, talk about this or talk about that. It's mainly just in the what is it, a 14, 15-page guide with suggestions. So no, you're probably best to just find somebody on the list who's done it and send them off something to have a look at. Might be the quickest way to do it. I'm happy to look at stuff if you want. Send it through, Stephen, if you like. Area 4, communication and working with others. That's usually quite an easy one to do as well, because this is what we do. We sit down with people and we're very nice and we bite our tongues and we say, explain for the 45th time that no, you don't click there, you click there. So most of us have got some very satisfied clients. Most of us, I think, have been involved in team projects. It's never you working by yourself. You're always working with somebody else on this one. So any kind of collaboration that you've been involved in, any kind of report that you've got about a successfully completed project, anything to do with project management, working with teams, all that sort of thing is useful for this one, and how you usually communicate with other people. So again, you're reflecting on each of these. It would be quite fun if you had one that sort of nearly fell over but was rescued by really good communication or a change of plan. That would work quite nicely in this area. This one's probably one of the easier ones in terms of a core area. And then you get onto your specialist options. As I said, it says you can do one or more, but my advice would be choose one. It's got to be something that you've gone deeply into. It's your independent practice there. So it's an area where this is something that you love doing, it's something you've got a particular area of expertise, doesn't fit nicely or snugly under one of the others, it might fit under all four of them, and that's where you might want to dip in and just sort of showcase really what you've done. It might be your pet project. There's a list on the document on page 9 that's got all sorts of things like producing learning materials, project management, mentoring other people. Stephen, I know you've been a mentor or a mentee for ASCILITE. That would be something that you could write about if it was helping somebody to come to grips with some kind of technology or use of technology to support teaching and learning. You've got supporting and tutoring learners, you've got designing tools and systems, being involved in any kind of institutional development or strategic work, rolling out new learning management systems or designing interfaces, being involved or converting something to distance learning or blended learning, changing the mode of delivery. They've put copyright in that list, if there was something that was a huge project that you got involved with copyright. Learner support, accessibility, sustainability, MOOCs, just something that I guess really pushed your buttons, because what we're looking there for is somewhere where you've gone the extra mile, that we can see the enthusiasm and the passion, and it's a little bit over and above the day-to-day, this is what I do all day kind of common practice. And we're kind of looking for your voice coming through here, and this is a really good one to show how excited, I guess, you are by something you did or working with technologies or the affordances of those technologies that you're working with. And this might have been one that stuck in your memory and everybody said what a great job it was and they've never forgotten that we did this, something like that. Something that you've gone into that you might have done a bit of research around. But again, you are analysing what you did and why you did it and how you did it and what you might have done differently. It's all sort of still got to be part of this. But if it was something you really got a buzz at, you would have done that. So a lot of the stuff you may well have already included in somewhere else as well. So that's quite an easy one. I'll pick on you again, Stephen. What are you going to do for this one? Have you had any thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are that I would probably pick on e-portfolios, because I've been doing sort of that's been my specialist area for about 2 years now. And I've been working with different people at the University of Waikato around the whole business of introducing e-portfolios to their classes and making sure that their assessment kind of aligns with the best practice of e-portfolios. And doing, the start of this year I did 27 student sessions introducing students to e-portfolios, so it kind of certainly feels like the extra mile for me.
I bet, yeah. What about any of the other people there that have got a microphone, or maybe put it in the chat? I presume you're taking part of this webinar because you're going to start or have started, but any suggestions as to what this might have actually kicked you into start? Say Chris or Colin or Lucy or Bing? Had any thoughts? If you've got a microphone, you just click on that little blue talk button at the top, or if you haven't got a microphone, maybe pop it into the chat. Just looking for some kind of specialist projects that might be quite fun.
Oriel, I guess I could jump in here first.
Yeah, Mike.
Apologies for being late. I'm sitting here waiting for the link and was looking in the wrong place. So that doesn't say much for my technical expertise. I was thinking about, specialist areas, and I guess learning management systems is where I come in most strongly. But what you're looking for is more recent work, isn't it? So doing stuff that goes back over too long a period is probably not really what we're after.
No. I mean, it might have been a long-term project that you're still working on. That's fine. I said earlier, I think maybe 2 or 3 years, because technology changes so quickly. So, like Stephen's e-portfolio you're working on for what seems like an age, but it's still current because the technology for the e-portfolios keeps changing and expanding. So that's pretty valid. But if it was maybe you doing something with a mentee 5 years ago, that unless you've kind of updated it, then maybe you'd want to pick something a bit more recent, perhaps. I can see people.
I think Stephen's just trying to comment here about digital literacy, which I agree is not something that ever goes away. It's something you're always working on. But I think things that are probably more current for me are things like video production and support. Things like lecture capture and desktop video recording. We're rolling out systems across the university, and also things like ebook development within courses as assessment items. So I guess I'm thinking that for other people, if they've got areas like that are being developed, that they might be current specialist options as well.
Yeah, those sound like really good ones. They would probably link in further back as well, but you can go deeper. Like the communication one would work if you were doing something across the university, because you'd have to talk to heads of departments, professors, etc., and get them on board, which is a slightly different angle to what you're doing and why you're doing it. So you might be able to double dip. And actually it says cross-reference some of your evidence. If you've got one thing that you can use for several, then go ahead. Don't make good use of what you've got. Now Bing's put something in the chat there. Using a documentary electronic tool to document what I do, according to the. I'm not quite sure what you mean, Bing. You mean what do you mean by a documentary electronic tool? Oh, I'm with you. Okay. Yes. When I first started off, the portfolio had to be paper. Now I'm pleased to see that they're accepting digital copies of things. So yeah, putting something into WordPress and making it available for people to be able to see would be cool. That would be fine. And if you wanted to extend that into how I've used WordPress with students, or how I've encouraged my students to use WordPress, or how I've helped staff to use those blogging tools, would be quite a nice way to wrap the whole thing together. Yeah, good move. Okay, anybody got anything else to share? pop it in if you get the chance. Current online course about technology for student teachers. Brilliant. I would imagine you get several out of that, Lucy, because you would have had to presumably develop it, put it online, and then facilitate it. So what are you doing with your students? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it that way? What's worked in the past? And have you changed anything recently? That would make really interesting reading. Plus, you could have screenshots from it, or chances are we wouldn't be able to log into it to have a look, but certainly grabbing a few screenshots and explaining that, like from last year's discussion forum was a disaster because we did this. I've tried this, and this is what this year's discussion forum looks like. Much more activity, etc. Before and after shots, and why that happened, and where that happened, and what the students are thinking of it. Get some student feedback. That would be cool. Yeah, that would work fine. Okay. Don't forget to include where to from here. It's not actually assessed, but it does have to be completed. And the payoff for you is you can then take that to your masters and say, well, this is what I said I was going to do. Are you going to support me to do this as my own professional development? So as I said at the start, CMALT are looking to see that you have a commitment to keep on messing about with technology, really, that you're not going to stagnate, because the world we work in, there's a new tool and a new cool feature and whatever happens every day. So how do you keep on top of all that? One of the ways, of course, is to attend the ASCILITE conferences and these webinars. So even include that. What are you going to do? Are you going to present a webinar on your current online course about technology for student teachers? That would be cool. Okay, so message to Colin. Reducing what I've done, yes. Okay, my advice, Colin, would be go for quality, not quantity, and go deep. So pick something key and maybe start with the matrix. What fits where? And have I got a common tool or a common approach or a common project that I did that applies in several areas, and that will enable you to focus and really think about what you did and how well you did it and what you might have done differently. So go deeper and richer rather than a shotgun approach. That means we've got less things to look at as an assessor. We have a look at it, and then we might go back and say, oh yes, I can see that in there. Oh, that's good. You've picked out that aspect as well. So quality, not quantity, I guess. Particularly if you can scan things in, or you can take screenshots, or you can point us to what you want us to look at, because we'd spend a lot of time kind of crawling through all that, come back, and then you would link it back to several parts of your portfolio. So yeah, good question. Good to see some questions. Good. Keep them coming. Next thing I was going to talk about are the assessors. You get two, and you can suggest one of those. And for those people that came in a bit later, I suggested you pick somebody from the list that is on the website that is in our part of the world, because they kind of understand our approach to things and how we do things around here, and are maybe a little bit closer in terms of policies and procedures and approaches than people on the other side of the world, unless they've attended ASCILITE conferences, in which case they will understand us. So you have several, three outcomes really. Your portfolio is judged for each of those aspects on whether it is strong, and the strength comes from the reflection, the strength comes from the analysis. Whether it's adequate, it's there and it's fine. If it's inadequate, then we bounce it back to you and say, we need a little bit more on this, or beef this one up. So all is not lost when you submit your portfolio. If we don't think you've made the best use of what you've got, or we want to go a bit deeper, then it comes back to you with some specific questions where you can add more information or think about it or relate it to something else. So again, those principles are important. When you're analysing and reflecting, you're trying to show that you have a commitment to exploring and understanding the interplay between technology and learning, which we're all about anyway, that you have a commitment to keep up to date with the new technologies, which is why we want something recent rather than someone who's just messing about with a fairly old-fashioned, digital recording or something. But we're looking also for that reciprocity, which is having an empathy and a willingness to learn from colleagues, and working sometimes with a bunch of people from different specialist options or from different subject areas, if you're in staff development or in some kind of learning technology centre, different backgrounds. Often you learn a lot from people from different cultures. I mean, the theme of this year's conference is about globalization and cross-cultural learning. You can learn a lot when people come in and come from a completely different kind of perspective from you. So if you've been in that situation, record that as well, think about it. And of course, the commitment to communicate and disseminate effective practice, the good use of these technologies, not the boring old use that is the first place that people go to, but actually how to use them effectively, not in the just transferring, like we used to see, transferring notes from overhead slides to PowerPoints with heaps of things on, and everybody was bored to tears in the back of the room, but it was digital, and so we're doing it. So just bear those in mind. Of course, most of the stuff, in fact just about everything, in terms of what's on those slides, has come from the document on the website, which is Guidelines for CMALT Candidates and Assessors. So none of it's secret, it's all there right in front of you, and there are really no surprises, really. You can read it through and digest it and suggest. You've got a list of who you might want to fire off an odd question to on that website as well. You're going to get a pass or a referral. Is how oh sorry, I'm looking at the assessors one here, where we can either pass something or we can pass it on to somebody as a referral. You as a candidate get sent back whether it is a strong or inadequate, and you'll get it back if it's inadequate. The assessors usually more or less agree, unless you get one from the Northern Hemisphere and one from the Southern Hemisphere who come in from completely different planets and don't know what you're talking about. That is where the referral comes in, and we get a neutral person to have a look at it. So it's a reasonably fair process, and usually we're on the same page, pretty much. But there is a backstop if we aren't. That's pretty much all I've got to show. So I'm open for any other questions, either in the chat or if you've got a microphone, grab it. We can have multiple speakers here. So anything that wasn't clear, anything you want to have another look at, or just any suggestion of where to from here.
Hi, I have a question. This is Lucy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it, Lucy.
Oh, awesome. Another question too. The timing. I'm sorry if you already said this. I missed the first 5 minutes when I was just downloading it on my iPad because I couldn't get it working on the desktop. Now, is there particular timing you need to go for with this? Particular deadlines or windows of time when this happens, or is it just whenever are there batches of process you need to follow? No,
the key thing is pay for it. And then they suggest you should have something to hand in. I'm desperately trying to find it here. I think they give you about 3 months. It could be longer. Obviously, they're not going to stop you after 3 months, but they'll probably check on you. But 3 to 6 months, I think, is perfectly okay to hand these things in. Actually, this thing doesn't say. It's probably on the website somewhere. Alan put the website in the chat a while ago, so you might be able to backtrack on it. But no, the only kind of limits really are more around the acceptable formats that you send in. So they're looking for Office or PDF or web or HTML or video, so that they're accessible to everybody to look at it. But in terms of time, I think I put mine together in about 3 or 4 months. Stephen, how long have you been working on yours? 6 months, and he's using Mahara. Yeah. I don't think they're going to cut you off because you've taken too long. But I guess if it wanders on too long, then you're going to lose enthusiasm as well. But somebody might be able to check the website as to what the time limit is. I don't recall a time limit, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, bye then, Dean. Anybody, any other questions?
I just wanted to jump in with a question. One of the things that I'm still not altogether sure about is the levels of authentication, I suppose, for your claims of what you've done. I'm aware that I can kind of write till the cows come home about stories about what I've done and why. But what do we need to provide levels of proof, I suppose? I mean, it's very easy to make up stuff.
Yeah, they actually suggest documents or certificates or attestations or screenshots or what else? You know, someone's using, like Stephen's using Mahara, so he'll have things in Mahara that can be looked at. So they will actually be digital objects or something. They don't necessarily ask you to, well, I guess that there's a final thing somewhere, yes, this is all my own work. But I guess they figure that if you've created it, then you can use it, and that it is your own work. They're not going, if you've got no evidence, then obviously we've got nothing to assess. But as I was saying earlier, if you've got one thing you've done, like one big thing you've done, then your fingerprints are all over it. It's pretty obvious that it's your own work, and you can use different aspects of that. But they're suggesting those kind of tangible things, like a certificate or an award from the CEO, or something that's pretty obvious and well earned, is going to be absolutely fantastic. But most of us are working more in those soft sort of areas. So if you've helped somebody put something together, Mikey, what are you? Is it you saying things like digital literacy and e-portfolios? You must have something where somebody's written you something, an email you saved. Those sorts of things are always interesting. You know, spontaneous email or something from the manager that says thanks for working with this, that, and the other. It's very hard to fake those sorts of things.
Yeah, I guess I can certainly go back through email trails and so on. Yeah, I guess I was wondering how much weight is put on that level of you know, support and attestation.
It's really more, that's fine. I mean, if you say I've done this and this is the proof I've got, the authenticity comes in your reflection and your analysis and what were the good things, what were the bad things, what would I do differently. There's a set of prompts there. I'm not sure. I picked them up twice, I think. I'm not sure if you were there. Like, what have I learnt? What went well? What would I do differently? What was the impact? It's more those kind of reflexive things that are more authentic, I guess, than just the little bits of paper. So yes, we need some evidence, but we also want to see that you've engaged and you've thought about it and you've learned from it and you've learned from other people in the process. So it's really we put more weight on the reflection than the actual evidence, although that needs to be in there as well. Most of the things that get sent back as inadequate are lacking in that kind of reflection, really. And I believe, yeah, there's some examples of strong and weak statements at the back of the booklet about, it was very brief evidence, but it was a really strong reflection. was included. So have a look through those. They're on pages 14 and 15, give you an idea. As I said, we don't want to be reading forever. Keep the marker in mind. So short, pithy, reflective statements with an evidence is really all you need. I think there's a page limit if you're putting it in a Word document, or at least there's a 10 megabyte file size, so you can't have too much in your actual submission, but you can have lots of links to various other things. So it's kind of, you know, when I say quality not quantity, something you'd expect of someone who'd been thinking about what they've been doing for a lot of times. Okay, we're nearly up. Any other burning questions? Okay, everybody's happy? All right, well hopefully we've drummed up a bit of business for me and the other assessors, and we've got a bit of a way on in the Southern Hemisphere. If you have a look on that list on the website, you'll see there's a few other people, in particularly in Australia, that have actually got their CMALT accreditations. So contact them. Their emails are usually there, or if they're not, we can certainly get hold of them. So yeah, grab them, make use of us. That's what we're there for. Okay, so whoops, sorry, wrong one. So back to you, Alan. Okay, all right then. Well, bye everybody, and thanks for your time today.
Okay, see you, Oriel. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dave. Be in touch if you need me.